right, guys, welcome to another episode of Side Quest Podcast, the unofficial podcast of Fitocracy. If you're not following me on Twitter, check me out at SideQuestFM. You can also follow me as well on Instagram at SideQuestFM. You can follow the podcast over on Facebook. Just search SideQuest Podcast, and you can get all the updates for all the episodes as they come out. You can also follow my fitness work as well at SideQuest Fitness. Just search for it, and that will pop up. If you want to listen to the episodes, head over to iTunes, search SideQuest Podcast, and when you're there, hit subscribe and leave a review. When you do those two things, it helps us move up the charts so more people can hear from the amazing guests that I have had on the show and that are coming at you this summer. Also, if you want, you can head over to sidequestfitness.com/podcast and listen to all the episodes there on the website. And while you're there, feel free to peruse my coaching section if you're looking for some online coaching, or feel free to read the articles that I have up on there as well. Eventually, I'll have some recipes and videos linked to there. Got a lot of things planned for the future, a lot of work going on. But today, I have a great guest for you. Yet again, Travis Pollen, a former podcast guest and good friend, has dug deep into the world of fitness and found some people that I may have never found, to be honest. He has a really good knack of finding some amazing talent in Australia. It seems like Canada and Australia, they're like the two countries putting out some of the best trainers right now, besides the U.S., but I keep seeing a lot of guys and gals from these two countries sort of like, stepping up the game a little bit. But he's a trainer and a coach in Australia, and according to his site, and I love this, he wants to help his fellow man and woman reach their mental and physical potential. Colloquially, he is known simply as Dr. Big Red. That's right. I'm getting a fellow ginger on the show. So we're coming at you guys, locked and loaded, the redheads, ready to go. The one and the only, Kennett Waale. Kennett, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. It's been a long day. As I said before we got on, I have not played as much Batman as I wanted. Usually, I would sit down on the day a game comes out and just blast through it. But I was a good little entrepreneur today. Did some work, did some reading. I got to get out of this house that I'm staying in because I have a really bad habit of like, I'm going to start work. Oh, my phone. Oh, this, oh, that. When I go to a coffee shop, I get work done. So maybe I need to just stay at coffee shops.
I think the coffee shops are the entrepreneurial sort of playground these days.
Yeah. I mean, I also end up going and spending a little bit too much money, but, what can I say?
Coffee.
Yep, true. Well, luckily for you, you can have that right now in Australia. It's almost 9 p.m. here. If I had that, I wouldn't be asleep until like 3.
So for a run, man.
So Kennett, how did you get into the world of fitness? Now I've read a little about your story, and I'll link in the show notes to your bio as well, which is a fantastic story, and I think you and I are going to have a very good time chatting. We have similar takes on a lot of things.
It'll be quite fun.
How did you get into the world of fitness?
Well, I grew up in Norway, and as you do, you play a lot of ice hockey, similar to yourself. Played a lot of different sports. Ice hockey was my main gig. I did quite well, but when I was approaching about 16 years of age, I sustained a quite severe injury. Mm-hmm. At the time, I didn't know what it was, but it turned out to be discs of L2, L3, and my facets through my whole lumbar spine on the left-hand side. A lot of agony and everything like that. And I decided to quit my career, and I was aiming to get quite high, and I was loving ice hockey so much that I did everything I could to become a professional. And I had a few shots at it too, and the pain was just too much. So I decided to leave that, and I hired some personal trainers, as you do. Was in pain, wanted to get bigger, put on a bit of mass, hired some chiropractors. Yes, I know, shoot me. Chiropractors, physios.
Hey. I'll be honest, I have nothing against those guys. I know sometimes they can seem wacko, but you know what? Yeah. It's like that with everyone, man. Yeah, right.
And physiotherapists and everything like that, and unfortunately nothing helped. Like, you just got this standardized program that it printed out for all the clients, and you had to do a squat with a broomstick to sort of fix your back. And they didn't look at any kind of psychological issues, and whatever it might be. So I was like, hey, this isn't working. So I decided to take the case in my own hands, and always being involved in fitness and being active, playing sports 6 hours a day, I was like, well, this is probably going to be what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I started reading, associating myself with personal trainers and strength coaches and everything like that. And a few years in, I was lucky enough to go to Cressey Performance when I was 19 or 20. And I was there for a week, just hanging around, observing, chatting to Eric and Tony. And I met Jordan Sayat and Steve Bergeron and a lot of other guys. And they've become good friends over time. And I have a few other mentors there too, Aaron Brooks, Jonathan Fitzgordon, and a lot of other guys. So it sort of just evolved over time, and I traveled down here to Australia to do my exercise science degree, and that's now well done and dusted. And yeah, that's pretty much the story, man, just in a bit of a nutshell.
Man, that's a Cressey Performance is probably like one of the most well-known sports performance businesses in the world. And I just recently had Tony on the show.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's huge that you just kind of flew over there and hung out for a week and met, some of the biggest names in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
How old were you when you did? How old were you when you did that? And did you just sort of like email Tony and Eric and were like, hey, look, I want to learn. I'll come for a week. Like, can you help me?
Yeah. Like that was literally what I did. It was in the middle of summer here. I think I was 19 or 20, and summer here is your winter.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, yep, cool. I need to learn because there's not a whole lot of them here in Australia. We have a few names that are really, really good, but again, it's not the same quality that Eric and Tony and Aaron and Mike Boyle and all of those guys actually possess. And I just emailed them and I was like, hey, I'm on my holidays now. I'm studying my exercise science degree. I want to be working with the exact same population as you guys are. And hey, can I come and hang out for a week and just observe and chat and all that kind of stuff? And they would have, yeah, sure, we'd love to have you. And then I just flew over.
And that's the thing is, I have to say that is the one thing I love about people in the industry is that they will help anyone. Like I have been scared out of my mind to email half the people that I've emailed. I was talking to Tony actually earlier today that we're interviewing, and I was telling him, I went to the fitness summit in Kansas City, and I was like, I was intimidated to be around all of you guys because I've done nothing but read from you guys for years, and like now I finally like meet you, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. And then sitting there, I realize actually I do know stuff, and I should stop telling myself that I'm an idiot. Like, do you find yourself doing that as well? Like sometimes you're in the gym and you're just like, that's it. I don't know. I'm an idiot. I'm so dumb.
Not as much as I used to. I used to go like, oh, fuck. Like, I can't be here. Like, they're just going to laugh at me. I don't know anything. It's like I'm going to sit in on these in-staff services, and I'm just like, what am I going to do if they ask me a question? I'm just like, well, what am I going to do? But now that has sort of changed over the last 4 years or so, where now I'm in a position where I do educate a lot of personal trainers and therapists. So it's kind of changed roles a bit. But then again, you still need to have that humble mind of, I only know so much. And what Eric and Tony and Aaron and all these guys did to me was just to lend me that helping hand and give all their knowledge to me. And that's what I'm doing now. So I'm just passing on what they did to me, but you still have the open mind of, I don't know everything. I can't physically know everything. And you need to constantly learn every single day in order to grow as a person, an individual, and a professional. So I would say that the thoughts around it, they've changed. It's not like, oh, I'm so dumb. It's just like, oh, that's amazing. That's another piece of the puzzle. So now I can put it into a model and I can start to draw links and get a better understanding of everything. So, yeah, I think that's the main thing that has changed over time.
All right. I'm slowly starting to see that with myself. I think, I'm, at least in my situation, I've read about all of this. I finally got my certification. I was working at a bank, while my wife was finishing grad school, and Paying the bills and doing what I had to do and interning at a gym. And, now I'm running my own boot camp here in North Carolina for the summer. And
that's awesome.
I have to say, like, there are a few things I've learned very, very quickly, quickly. One of them being there is no war plan that ever goes exactly to plan. Like, you better be ready to think very quickly on your feet, because someone might ask you a question, and either you got to say, you know what, I don't know, but I will go do some research for you and get back to you, or you got to coach them in a different way.
And I think in saying that, I think that's where a lot of, especially personal trainers and like beginning trainers and professionals, they don't know the difference between causation and correlation. Mm-hmm. So when they're asked a question, you go, yep, this is how it is. This is the cause of what you're feeling. This is the cause of you not losing weight. Whereas we need to be careful. It's just, as you said, I need to go back and I need to do some research. I need to talk to my mentors and fellow professionals and go, what are the different correlations that could potentially be very plausible that's causing or correlating to what that person is feeling. Right. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned, and that's causation versus correlation. It's such a big thing. It's interesting that you bring that up, because I feel like most everyone is looking for a scapegoat. They just want to be, oh no, this is the reason. This is the like everyone wants an answer instead of, because sometimes it's not an answer. Like I had one of my boot campers email me today, and she was like, I thought I would be losing weight. I thought, but I'm not. Am I doing something wrong? Am I not working hard enough? Do I need to stop eating less? Do I need to eat less? Like, do I need to work out more? Like, what am I not doing right? And I know she's working hard. She's one of the hardest workers every morning. And I know she's eating well, because we've talked about it and we've chatted about it. I went to the grocery store with her, and she already knew like healthy stuff. And I'm like, well, you don't need me here. You're good. But, and I know she's working hard, and I know that can be one of those things where people are like, but I guess I'm not. But there are so many factors that can go into it that it's not just the exercise. It's not just the diet. I mean, it could be a host of other things. And especially for women, it's even worse, because there's that 2-week period. Like, it sucks, because either the week before and the week of, like, your body weight can fluctuate so much. And that's it, man. And I've had this guy work with me recently. He's one of the guys attending the mentorships and the courses that we run, and he started training with me at the same time, and he was just shocked over how much he lost around his chest over just 10 days. It was 10 centimeters, man, over 10 days. Wow. I can show you the measurements. It's ridiculous, 10 centimeters. And I was as blown away as he was. But then we started analyzing things, and we came to the fact that it was more of, okay, cool, well, you're doing half of what you used to do in terms of training. Right. Because we always know that any given stimulus need adequate amount of recovery to foster positive adaptations. Right. And that's logic, right? If you do too much, you won't be able to recover, and you're probably not going to see the results you want to see, especially not in the long term. And at the same time, we started analyzing other things. Okay, so not so much food, because we changed a few things, but it was more about his thoughts around training, the fact that he was thriving because he was constantly learning and growing and could give his own clients a lot more knowledge and improve their lives. His communication at home with his wife was a lot better. So you have all these other correlating factors that we know have such a big impact on overall life quality and just quality of your training at the same time. So it's quite interesting when you start to look at a lot of the factors outside of training and how that affects the training results themselves. Right. I can't remember who said the quote, but if you're not enjoying it, you're not up to par with why you're training, you're probably not going to see the results you want to see.
So that's a good point. Sorry guys, plugging my own stuff, but I'll plug here just because I wrote an article about why I train.
Good. Why do you train?
Well, honestly, and she thinks I'm BSing her, and she thinks I'm full of crap. I mean, sure, do I like walking by the mirror and flexing like every time I walk by a mirror? Yeah, I'm a dude. It's an unwritten rule of being a bro. Like, you walk by, you gotta be like, yo, Yeah, exactly. You just gotta be like, oh, guns. I train for my wife because I made a commitment to her that till death do us part. And for me not to take care of myself, it is selfish, and it is to me morally wrong for
So
me
true. So true.
to not do my best to be there for her. You know, she doesn't need me. Fine, I get that. Like, you probably don't need anyone. You can survive in life without. Well, you know, community is
Yeah,
important, but right.
exactly.
But you know, for me to sit back and be lazy and to not want to give my best, like I told her straight up, I'll be damned if some crazy thing doesn't happen someday where a car was on top of you and I don't hulk out and lift that motherfucker off of you and throw it like I'm enraged, like no, like it is.
It's so true though.
Like, I train because I want to be here for the long run. I said till death do us part. I can't help it if a meteorite falls from the sky and kills me, but I can prevent some things. And if I don't do my best to prevent them, then I'm kind of a selfish dick.
Exactly. And that's the thing, man. It's never about yourself. Well, you need to put yourself first in order to be able to give to others. But it's like Simon Sinek says, like, leaders eat last. It's always about those around you and how you can give value to those around you. And that's the person you love the most, and that's your wife. Yeah. That even comes before family in most cases. Yeah. And trying to have the energy. Like, when you leave the gym, you shouldn't be smashed. You shouldn't be like, oh, I can't walk. Like, that's fun now and then. But it's like everyone has that mentality that they need to spend 3 to 4 hours in the gym. Like, that might be the extreme end, but you'd be surprised if you ask people how long they spend in the gym and want. It's like 3 hours. It's like, what? But then they, like, your clients and yourself, you should just walk into the gym and on a scale from 1 to 10, let's say a client walks in and their energy is so low. It's a 2 out of 10, 10 being the best. But when they leave, they should probably be an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like, you should leave the gym with more energy than what you had when you came in.
So
that's going to foster those positive adaptations.
So the question that I sort of had before we went on this, because I have a lot bouncing around now, because I think you and I, from reading about you and I are very similar in like getting mindset and focusing on trying to find the positive aspects.
Red here too.
So what do you do? How do you help clients who come in and are very negative, and how do you help them improve? Because you can only help them improve in the gym, but how do you also help to try and coach them on improving their attitudes outside of the gym? Because you're right, outside of the gym is a huge, like, no matter where we go, we always bring whatever's happening in our personal life, whether it be work, whether it be the gym, like, that's going to affect our workout, it's going to affect our work, like, but how do you help a client sort of figure that out so they can balance both and make both better?
Yeah. So the first thing I do personally is just to sit down with them, even take them out for a coffee, not in a gym setting, like get out of the gym if you have the time and catch up with them. Just get to know them as friends. You don't chat about training prices and selling and all that kind of crap. If someone comes up to you and you go, I want to train with you, how much is it? Go for it. But the very general person out there, take them out for a coffee if they drink coffee or a tea, sit down and say, why do you want to train? Like, what's going on with you? And asking those questions, they're going to start to realize that it's not so much about the training itself, it's about everything else. So like yourself, like you want to train for your wife. So what does that mean? What else do you want to train for? And then they're going to give you an answer. Yeah, I'm going to feel more energetic. I'm going to be able to give more energy to my wife. Okay, tell me then, how's that going to make you feel? What's that going to give to you? What else? So you really start to dig deep with high-end quality questions, which are really going to, find that legacy part of their thinking. You obviously don't ask them, like, what's your legacy? But
what do you want to leave behind when you die?
Exactly. People are going to go, oh, I haven't even thought about tomorrow. So that's too much. But it's like, hey, Rob, like, what's going on? And just asking those simple questions is really going to start to open up a lot of funnels for people and build that deep, deep trust that you need. And from there, it's just aiming for a 2% habit change every single week and not trying to change everything at once. It's just a very logical approach. But when you know your why and you know why you want to do something, why am I doing this? It comes down to education. And that's what we should do as a professional. It's not just smashing people. That era has to go. Like, seriously, like,
I agree.
Annihilation has to stop big time. We need to foster those positive adaptations through education in the long term and having the service mindset that in 6 months, I want you to be able to just walk away with enough knowledge to program for yourself, to understand nutrition, to understand the way you're thinking, to understand the way you're communicating with others, and maybe even help your family members. So I think, to be honest with you, man, there's just a big framework that's very adaptable to every single individual, because in the end, we're all human beings and we're emotionally driven. So if you can make sure that that they belong somewhere, that they are significant, that they can contribute to their community and the people around them, well, then you've done a really, really good job. And the adherence that comes from that is often, if not very, very large.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
No, it does. I think you touched on a good point about getting away from that. I'm gonna crush you. I have to crush you as a trainer, and building. I had Stephen Ledbetter on, or Coach Steve-O as he's known with Habitry, and I've been really inspired by him. On like the sense of creating a community, which is one thing that I did with this boot camp that I was doing, because it's a boot camp for a theater production, the stage version of A Few Good Men. So they have to be in military shape and look like Marines. So I go into the first meeting, and I have a degree in theater, so I pulled out my old theater card and dusted my acting chops off, and stole a little bit from the opening speech of the movie Patton. And went in and I gave them a rousing speech, about teamwork and community. And, I think that sort of buy-in, people sort of bought in and they were ready to go. They were excited. It wasn't just, hey, I'm a trainer. We're going to do this and you're going to do that and you're going to hate me. I was like, I'm willing to go the extra mile. You will never, ever, ever have another personal trainer who is willing to answer your phone calls all day, go to the grocery store with you, like, help you in any way possible. And that's what I've tried to do, with this. And I think that even in the settings I've been in, and I know you are familiar with, that's not the typical kind of trainer setting you see.
No, you rarely see it, man. And it's so good to hear that you're one of them, and you want to go that extra mile for them. Because
I tell my online clients, I want to be the Robin to your Batman. You do all the work. I'm just here to help.
Exactly. And you're there behind them to push them, just give them a loving kick up the arse if they need it. You're there alongside them, almost holding their hand if they really need that in the grocery store. And then you're in front of them. You're leading. You lead by example. But it's not like you're pulling them along, just, hey, come on, like, it's a struggle, you need to push through it and this and that. And it's like, you even see trainers who deal with clients who have weird musculoskeletal conditions and various other physiological conditions, and they absolutely just smash them. And it's become a trend in the fitness industry, and it's, without judgment to CrossFit, it's probably a big part of it, to be completely honest with you. Like, I mean, CrossFit is good for some. I love CrossFit. Like, they have such a good tribal environment and everything like that, but then you see all the crazy stuff and you hear a lot of good things and bad things about it. But people who's never done anything before, like, they don't even know how to squat properly. They don't even know how to split squat and differentiate their torso from their hips. It's like the most basic stuff we should be able to do. And then they should be able to do 2,000-meter row in between sets of snatches and keeping pull-ups and banging their head to the wall. Like, it doesn't make sense.
How are they going to be able to snatch if they can't, like, hip hinge? Like, that's, that's the one thing that I definitely discovered with this boot camp, is that I don't know if, like, we just forgot how to do it, like, later on as human beings, like, or if we just don't know how to do it until we're sort of like the hip hinge. Like that has been the biggest thing I've had to teach, almost everyone is, how
quite interesting.
yeah, because everyone wants to squat, which is so interesting. Like when you watch a baby, like naturally we know how to sort of keep all that perfect form. So why do we forget it years later? That's what I've always tried to figure out. Is like, how do we forget?
Who knows? I mean, it can be so many different reasons, but again, it just comes down to habits. Yeah. Like probably you spoke to Coach Steve-O about, and he's doing some amazing work right there in terms of habits. But when it comes to movement, there's nothing different. You're just not used to moving this way. So we're going to take into consideration your injuries, your structural components, how you built up, and your previous exposure to certain modes of exercise and everything like that. And then we're just going to take it 2% at a time, just one little step at a time. And over a course of a week, you're going to master it. Yeah. And when you look at it from like a big bird's eye point of view, it really does make sense. Like I often use the analogy and the example of, okay, cool, you can lift 100 kilos in deadlift. Even if they can or not, doesn't matter. But you can lift 100 kg. And then you're going to add 2% every single week in a magical world, every single week for the rest of the year. How much are you going to lift at the end of the year? You're going to lift 204 kilos, right? So you've more than doubled your results. And with that, it's going to come increased muscle mass and strength and a lot of other benefits, right?
Yeah.
But you go, oh, so I don't have to change my whole life at once. So they, no, you don't. And it's very, very interesting when you start to look at those little things. And when you couple that with the fact that you figure out why they actually want to train, it's really because of physique. Like we all want to look good. Why do we want to look good? It's because of self-confidence and certainty, and we want to feel that we belong to probably a tribe, a gym, or a group of mates that we train together. And I want to feel that I'm significant within that little group and in my life, that I can lift that car off my wife if I have to, and really just, take out the bins and reach for my cup of coffee when I get old and all that kind of stuff. And I want to be able to know that I can contribute to the community around me. And when you start to really dig deep and you start to get to know someone, it might take a bit of time, then you're going to have that trust and you are going to become a mentor for your clients. They're going to become like students. And then it's just wrong to say that, yep, I'm just going to stand with my arms crossed and I'm just going to count repetitions and I'm going to smash you and off you go. It's like a fast food personal trainer. It's true. Like
I said, supersize me. Supersize me, damn it.
Exactly. It's like it's a fast food trainer. So it's like you have clients lined up, 30-minute sessions. You pay $60 for 30 minutes, and they're literally just lined up like 40 sessions a day, just back to back to back to back to back to back. You do all the same stuff with all your clients. There's no difference. You don't take into consideration the fact that they can't even squat because of it. Injury. They might have, a hip replacement or something like that, but still the level of a lot of fitness professionals is actually that low that they do everything the same with every single client. And quite interesting to see.
Yeah, I have been in some big box gyms where I have seen stuff like that, and it makes me want to say something, but I'm just there to get a workout for a day, and I don't really have, but anyways.
It's quite interesting.
So you have a great quote on your site, and we sort of touched on it a little bit. Your goal should be to move better at 60 years of age than what you currently are. So I got to ask, because I have finally started taking my mobility a lot more seriously.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I noticed after sitting at a desk for a very, very long time that my glute was a little weaker and my hips were getting affected. And when it rains, I have the hip of an 80-year-old man, and I'm like, arthritis. I'm not kidding you. I know it's going to rain because my hip starts hurting. So what do you do to take care of yourself in mobility so that when you are 60, you'll be able to move better?
I mean, we need to look at a few different things there, though, because mobility is not this magical pill that's going to fix your life, right?
Right.
It's again, it's a correlating factor to overall performance and health. And we need to look at, if you have proper technique, if you're strong, you have strength. You don't need to be a powerlifter, but if you're strong and you have flexibility, well, then you're automatically going to improve mobility. So, and then you can look at the other side of the equation, whereas mobility will improve muscle flexibility, strength, and technique. So it's a whole continuum, and it's not just the set standard thing. Because I can give you a book for this. Do you want an ebook, man? I can send you the whole ebook.
Sure, awesome. Send me the ebook, and I'll include it in the show notes, so you guys can get a
free download.
Yeah, get a free ebook on mobility. I ask because it's something that I have a friend here in the States that I've been looking at a lot of his work and watching a lot of his videos, and like even on my rest days, I get up and I make sure that I sit on my lacrosse ball and roll on my glute, and then do some basically I kind of do a bastardization of like Joe DeFranco's Limber 11 and then some of his stuff as well. Yeah, because it's important. Now I probably need to focus a lot more on some shoulder mobility. Really what I need to do is take off time in the gym and let my rhomboid rest, but I don't want to do it because I don't want to.
And you're completely right, man. Like it's just joint circles, like good old-fashioned joint circles are going to improve a lot of different aspects for the majority of people. From there, we can look at more specific thoracic mobility, more hip mobility, ankle mobility, like Joe DeFranco, Kelly Starr, and all those guys, Scott Sonnen, Steve Maxwell. They're doing some really good work out there. But then again, there's no one correct way to do joint mobility work, right? So as long as you don't really push through end range of motion and you take it gradually expose yourself to those movements you're not used to, well, then you're probably going to be very safe. In terms of what I do every morning, I do joint circles. As the first part of my warm-up, I do joint circles. Then I work a lot of thoracic mobility. I'm quite limber, but still a lot of thoracic mobility, a lot of hip mobility, both sagittal and frontal plane hip mobility. Mm-hmm. And from there, when you're warmed up, just do some leg swings, some arm swings, some very nice gentle work. And then from there, you do more strength work. So look at Dean Somerset, his latest little video on Facebook in terms of hip mobility without control. And like you can warm up, you can get the range of motion improved a bit, but then from there, you need to be able to control it. If not, it's absolutely useless. And you're probably not going to have that mobility that you want to have without having the motor control. So there are a lot of different factors, and it comes back to that equation of technique plus strength plus flexibility equals mobility. And then you can sort of rearrange that equation too. And you can see that there's so many factors that play in there, but joint mobility, specific activation work, like scapular wall slide, glute bridges, one leg hip thrusters, side-lying hip abductions, all that kind of stuff is going to aid a lot in improving hip mobility, thoracic mobility, and so forth.
Yeah. I got to implement a few more of those into my hip stuff. Thoracically, I feel pretty good. Awesome. But yeah, the wall slides, like I really do, Kennett. I need to just have a full assessment done by someone to tell me what I need to work on.
Let's do a Skype one. Skype assessment.
Oh, all right. So a couple fun questions that I always enjoy to ask, and then we'll go back and talk a little business
go for it
as we wind it down. All right. What is the one track on your playlist that you would shamefully admit to others you listen to?
Oh, wow. That would be a lot, actually.
Okay.
I can say anything by Ronan Keating, anything by Elvis Presley.
That's not a guilty pleasure. That's just good taste.
That's who you asked. Let me have a look at my playlist here. Let's see what we have currently. Spotify. Spotify is awesome.
Oh, Spotify is amazing. It's the best $10 a month.
Can you see that? Dirty Dancing?
I have nothing wrong against Dirty Dancing. Patrick Swayze was a dude that could dance, and then he could go into a bar and kick your ass. Like, that's how awesome Patrick Swayze was. He was a man's man.
To be honest, man, the only thing I can see here is Ronan Keating that a lot of people probably wouldn't like.
I got you. What
about yourself?
Oh,
tell me. Go for it.
You know what? You are the first one to ask, and I will answer it right here. So this episode is the episode that I will tell all the listeners who have listened what my guilty pleasure track is. Now, I hate having it on there because I have to admit I'm a little bit of a music snob. Even though I will admit that as a kid of the '90s, I did have some Backstreet and NSYNC that I listened to, but that was in away from everyone where no one would ever see that I had those CDs. But as a music fan, as someone who, oh God, I could talk music all day. I mean, I could talk the history from how this person influenced that person and how it moves and what music lacks today. You know what music lacks today? Oh, now I'm getting passionate. Power ballads. We need more 80s power ballads. There's no amazing power ballads anymore.
Nah, I agree.
But to answer your
White Snake and everyone.
Yeah. Whoa! I love it. To answer your question, just so everyone can finally hear, and I'll stop rambling. My guilty pleasure track is "Break Stuff" by Limp Bizkit.
Not bad.
I feel really awful saying that because Fred Durst is awful. Limp Bizkit was I don't know how, they weren't a very good band.
Absolutely
they really weren't. But it's, I like it, It's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up. 90s music. Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, that's my guilty pleasure track. So now everyone knows Limp Bizkit. Though as of late, I have been doing what Greg Nuckols said, and I've been rocking out Katy Perry on my squat days. Oh my God, squatting has never been more fun.
Try Sugarland next time.
Okay.
Sugarland stuck like glue.
All right.
Give it a go. Come on.
I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go tomorrow.
You have to film it and put it on Facebook.
Oh no.
In between sets dancing.
Actually, that's not a bad thing to do because you're still moving the muscles. You're breaking up.
Shake and loose a bit. Just getting the blood flowing.
Yeah,
it's fun.
That's totally what happens sometimes when I'm squatting. All right. So if you could be any superhero, what superhero would you be?
Well, that's hard, isn't it? It would probably be Superman.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just love Superman.
All right. I got you. All right.
Superman would beat Batman too.
Everyone, almost 98% of people are like Batman. But I think it's because Batman is sort of the most realistic. Everyone else, you're like, oh, okay, you have a superpower. I can sort of connect with you when you were the awkward kid before you got bit by a radioactive spider. But Batman, I can kind of believe that maybe Elon Musk goes crazy and puts on a suit of armor to fight crime. It's plausible.
Exactly. Iron Man would probably be a very good one too. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Just jump in the suit and just go.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is what I usually ask all the Aussies, and only because they are the two most famous Aussies I know that are in superhero movies now. If you could train, all right, with either one of these two, would you train with Hugh Jackman or would you train with Chris Hemsworth?
Hugh Jackman for sure.
I figured as much. I feel like Chris Hemsworth is probably not as baller as Hugh Jackman because Hugh just hit the 1,000-pound club. I just feel like Hugh would be you're training with a Wolverine, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's him as a human being. He just seems so down to earth and knowledgeable. It would just be fun. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's Wolverine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Thor would be kind of fun too, though. I have to say, I am from that kind of neck of the woods, so it would be kind of wrong to the gods, I suppose.
our Nordic heritage, where the ginger gene sort of flourished. So Norway. So where did you grow up in Norway? I should have asked that at the first of the show.
So say that again.
Where did you grow up in Norway?
Where? It's a town called Skien. Do you know Telemark, the county?
No.
No. So do you know what Oslo?
I've heard of Skien, but that's just in the very few towns I know of in Norway. It's one of those places I've always wanted to visit.
Yeah, if you made on a map, if you have Oslo, and you go down the coast, along the coastline for a few hours, and then you go inland for about 20 minutes, then you'll hit it. Just in the middle of nowhere, there's a lot of trees, not a whole lot of people. In the little part of town that I grew up in, I think we had like 2,000 people. The big town itself was like 50,000. And that's it. Just a tiny little place. My nan lives up in the mountains, amongst the trees and the snow. Beautiful.
What's the flight time like when you fly back?
Oh, the few times I fly back, I have to say it doesn't happen very often, but I think the longest flight is 48 hours.
Woo-hoo!
But if you're lucky, I heard this one thing, if you're quite lucky and you fly through, I think it's Dubai, on one of the really expensive flights with the Emirates, I think it takes like 19 hours. So it's not too bad.
I saw this once. There was a guy who traded in like all of his airline miles to get on, I guess it's the Emirates airline that has like the crazy expensive like $45,000 ticket. I see. Okay. It was, he traded in all his air miles that he had like saved up for years. And when you go in to put your name in, it asks you if you're like a prime minister, a prince, a princess, a king. And it's like full service, like 3 meals a day, like massage, like big screen TVs. Like it's like you're in a really ritzy hotel room. It was like 4-star meals. Like, it was a crazy article to read.
Wow. And I flew first class from Seattle to New York once. That was quite interesting.
I've always wanted to fly first class, but in like a really nice first class, not where it's like there's a curtain.
I didn't pay for it though.
Oh, look at you.
The airline made a mistake. So on my ticket it said first class when I paid for economy. And I convinced them that first class was what I paid for, and I got it. It was great.
Hey, nice. All right, so a couple questions to wind down the show. So what book has been the most influential on you as a coach?
Ooh. Do you mean in terms of coaching knowledge or actual theoretical knowledge? Anything,
any book, and it doesn't even have to be a fitness book. I mean, I'll be honest, the greatest influence I had as an actor in college was not in a theater class. It was in a psychology class.
Yep.
Because what better way to understand people than psychology?
Exactly. There's so many, man. I couldn't pinpoint a single one, but start with Why. Reawaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins.
Okay.
And probably the 48 Laws of Power.
And that's by...
I can't remember who it's by.
Okay. I'll research it. And, it'll be in the show notes as a link. The 48 Laws of Power. All right. So last question. It is not a fun one. Well, actually, two. I got two more.
All right, two.
All right. So reading through your stuff, and I love philosophy. I'm a huge philosophy guy. But I was reading through your story and came across, you talking about how you had kind of conquered your own inner demons and all the things that you've come through in your life. And I wanted to ask, what philosophy book helped you conquer your inner demons? Like what book was it that sort of like gave you the key to unlock that power to move on?
To be completely honest, it wasn't a book.
Okay.
I think on a very general basis, it would be observing the people around me, observing the people I used to hang out with, and even observing my parents, to be quite honest. But at the same time, I've always been quite poetic. I love writing, and I've written a few books, and just being able to express yourself through writing itself, it gives you a whole new perspective on things.
Yeah.
And that really put me in a place where I could just think about what I wanted out of life. And if I wanted anything, I had to go get it myself, because I, despite the fact that I love my parents to pieces, I never want to end up like my parents. I want to live my own path. I'd never want to end up like my friends or my brother or anyone else that's close to me, because I want to carve my own path. And when you realize that, you realize that you can only do that yourself. And then as you grow and you experience a lot of things, and I've had friends die from drug abuse and all that kind of stuff, and you realize that, you go, if that's what happened to them, then what is it that I don't have to do to end up in that position?
Yeah.
And you realize what your own values and standards are. And then from there, it's just revisiting those all the time, and take whatever curve that comes, whatever up and down sort of that comes, you just take those and you learn from it, you analyze them, and then you just keep moving forwards. So I can't say that it's been one book, to be completely honest.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's a fair answer. I think you're right in the. I think everyone struggles with that, not wanting to be their parents.
Yeah.
Personally, I know I did, and I sort of had a realization driving to campus one day in college, and honestly, I felt like that was the like. It sounds so weird, but I felt like that was the epiphany that, my mind sort of went, okay, I can get over all of this trivial crap that I held on to as like that high school kid of, no, like I finally got over that, like in an instant,
Yeah.
And my life sort of started to get a little better, at least my attitude and my confidence got better from that point.
Yeah.
Cool. So last question, and I always love asking this. I definitely stole it from Tim Ferriss, but, he inspires a lot of things. If you could have dinner with one person in history, who would it be?
Wow. One person in history.
Yeah.
Hercules.
Okay. I like
if he existed.
If he existed.
But I think in terms of modern day people, modern day history, I would actually pick Tony Robbins, because he's still alive, done some absolutely amazing stuff, and yeah, he's one of my idols, and I truly look up to that man. So if there's one person in history that I could choose that I know for sure that's alive, it would be, and has existed, it would be Tony Robbins.
Oh yeah, I think I listened to his podcast with Tim Ferriss like twice, just because he was. It's so awesome to hear someone like, yeah, I totally made it, and now I just donate book proceeds to whatever I want to do. Like, you think that someone who's that successful is only driven by success and by money, but he's driven by something more.
And that's it, man. It's just his persona, his energy, like what he's offering to people, what he's giving out to people is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, Kennett, I have had a great time chatting with you. If people out there want to know more about you, where can they find you online or in social media?
Well, you can go to my website, kennettwaale.com. I apologize, it hasn't been updated for quite a while. Other things have taken priorities, but go check it out, kennettwaale.com. Twitter, @KennettWaale, Facebook, /Kennett.Waale, and that's it. Instagram, I think I have that too. I don't use it that often.
It happens. Well,
yeah, we'll make sure to link everything below.
Yeah, everything. All the links will be in the show notes as well on the website. So Kennett, I've had a great time. Guys, go check out his stuff. He does have some amazing resources out there that apply to more than just fitness, to motivation, to mindset, and even 5 rules about, love and relationships. And I definitely shared that with my wife because I was like, do we do all 5 of these? If we don't, we need to do all 5 of these. But some great articles out there from Kennett. So guys, go check him out. But thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a true pleasure.